If you love cars, then you love this actor. One of the biggest legends in Hollywood, Paul Walker. But who was Paul Walker behind the camera, and what is his life story? Early life. Paul Walker was born in Glendale, California on September the 12th of 1973. His parents were Cheryl, who was a model, and Paul, a former amateur boxing champion who had won the Golden Gloves Championship twice. He was raised in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which was known as the Mormons, and he was the oldest of 5 children. After attending private Christian school, he then went on to college and majored in marine biology. When he was just a tot, Paul began his career in the limelight, starring in a Pampers television commercial at the age of 2. He was to appear in many more commercials all throughout his childhood and started his television acting career in 1984 on the series CBS School Break Special. He turned up in Highway to Heaven between 84 and 86 and then had his first lead role in 87 in Throb, a sitcom which was to be the first of many similar roles during that era. He had a few parts in low-budget B-movies all throughout the 80s and the early 90s, and in 1993 he would be cast on the soap opera The Young and the Restless. His last television appearance was in 1996, and he then began to work exclusively in the movies. In 1998, Paul starred in Tammy and the T-Rex, which was a flop but turned out to be the gateway to bigger and better movie roles. He then went on to appear in Pleasantville that same year, following it up with Varsity Blues, She's All That, and The Skulls in 99 and 2000. In 2001, Paul Walker was to begin the adventure that catapulted him into full-throttle stardom. But before we get into that, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that you never miss another great video like this one. Career breakthrough. The role was starring opposite Vin Diesel in The Fast and the Furious. The action movie was a huge success both at the box office and in terms of Paul's own status in Hollywood as a leading actor. In fact, this was a movie that was going to go on to become one of the most successful franchises in history and lead to many more reprisals of the role of Brian O'Connor over the years. That first movie won him and Vin Diesel an MTV Movie Award for Best On-Screen Team. Fast and Furious is a massive media franchise that has the series of driving action movies at its center. These movies are massively popular and focus on street racing, heists, and family. But as well as all the movies, there's a huge and extremely lucrative collection of toys, merchandise, short films, live shows, video games, even a television series, and a theme park attraction, all under the umbrella of the Fast and Furious. Paul Walker's character was a central component to the success of the series right from the beginning. Fast and Furious in Hollywood. In addition to his breakout role, Paul was soon to appear in many other films. Next up would be another car-based action movie called Joyride in 2001, and after that, the first sequel in what's seemingly an endless franchise in Too Fast, Too Furious in 2003. This was followed up by a couple of unsuccessful flops in the form of Into the Blue alongside Jessica Alba, and 2003's Timeline, which was based on a Michael Crichton novel but was not destined to go down as Jurassic Park, that's for sure. In 2006, Paul Walker played the part of United States Marine Hank Hansen, who was killed at Iwo Jima in World War II in the movie Flags of Our Fathers, directed by Clint Eastwood. After that, he went on to star in 8 Below, a survival drama that received both critical acclaim and box office success, and then starred in an independent movie called The Lazarus Project, a straight-to-DVD sort of thing that had decidedly mixed reviews. It looked rather like the serious acting roles were perhaps not quite up Paul Walker's street, so even though he had initially resisted returning to the franchise, he was again to take up the role of Brian O'Connor in Fast and Furious in 2009. It had been 7 years since the last outing for him, and was to be the highest-grossing movie of the franchise so far, which was probably a wise decision on the part of Paul Walker. He starred alongside Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, and Jordana Brewster in the third direct sequel, but fourth installment of the movie series. After the success of that film, it was really a no-brainer to take up the part once again for the 5th and 6th installments. These were given an extra injection of screen appeal in the form of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, whose part in the franchise is said to have given it new life. Paul himself was nominated for awards at the Teen Choice Awards in 2011 and actually won an award, another Best On-Screen Duo with Vin Diesel, at the MTV Movie Awards that same year. He starred in the heist movie known as Takers in 2010, in which he was part of an ensemble cast playing a group of bank robbers being pursued by detectives as they try to pull off one final job. You know that classic story. Paul Walker then went on to launch a film production company called Laguna Ridge Pictures and managed to secure a first-look deal with Fast and Furious distribution company Universal. After his death, 4 more films were to be released: Hours, a thriller; Brick Mansions, an action movie; Pawn Shop Chronicles, a crime comedy; and of course, Furious 7. The last of these took a longer time in production, as Paul had passed away before filming was completed, and so filmmakers used a bunch of visual effects and digital techniques, as well as Paul's own brothers Caleb and Cody, along with actor John Brotherton, in order to help complete the filming and include Paul, or at least a semblance of the actor, in the remainder of the movie. It was finally released in 2015, and Walker won a Teen Choice Award. Personal life. Throughout his life, Paul Walker had known Rebecca Soteros. They had been friends in childhood, and then had an on-again, off-again relationship over several years. Together, they had a daughter named Meadow Rain Walker, and Meadow lived with her mother in Hawaii for much of her life, and then moved to live with her father in California in 2011. Her godfather, none other than Vin Diesel himself, and Meadow is now a model and actress as well. He had relationships with many women over the years and would be linked to the likes of Denise Richards, Christina Milian, and Amanda Page, and was in a relationship with Jasmine Pilchard Gosnell, and the couple were reportedly engaged. It would be remiss to not mention that Paul, although he was a grown man of 33 when they were first romantically involved, and Jasmine was just 16 years old at the time. They did stay together until Paul's premature death at the age of 40. His other romantic liaisons were also frequently with women who were still in their teenage years. Although he was raised as Mormon, Paul later identified as a non-denominational Christian and had long been involved in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, having a brown belt in the discipline. He was also awarded his black belt after his death. His work on the Fast and Furious movies was apt for a car enthusiast like himself. He was a competitive driver and raced on the AE Performance team in the Redline Time Attack series. He also had a massive collection of fast cars. As well as his involvement in driving-related hobbies, he was also a humanitarian and had established the charity Reach Out Worldwide with his friend Roger Rodas in the aftermath of the earthquake of Haiti in 2010. And in his life, he was well known for his work in disaster relief. That marine biology qualification came back around when in 2006 Paul sat on board of the directors of the Billfish Foundation. He went on to feature in the National Geographic series Sharkmen in June of 2010, where he joined an expedition which was formed to catch, tag, and take the vital statistics of great white sharks in the waters off the coast of Mexico. The tragedy. Paul Walker's life was tragically cut short when he was involved in a single car collision at high speeds on November the 30th of 2013. He and his friend Roger Rodas had been at an event for their charity, Reach Out Worldwide, and they left together in his Porsche Carrera GT when Rodas lost control of the car and they crashed into a lamppost at a speed somewhere between 80 miles per hour and 93 miles per hour. They were in a 45 mile per hour speed limit zone. The car caught on fire and the pair were both killed almost instantly. Both Walker's father and his daughter had filed wrongful death lawsuits against Porsche. Both were settled out of court. Paul Walker died at the age of 40, but he made an impact on the movie world and left a long-lasting impression doing what he had loved, living fast and furious. What did you think of the life of Paul Walker? Make sure to subscribe to the channel because the next Life Behind the Camera is coming out soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.